His mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of... Chapter 27. Jotham was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord according to all that his father Uzziah had done, except he did not enter the temple of the Lord. But the people still followed corrupt practices. He built the upper gate of the house of the Lord and did much building on the wall of Ophel. Moreover, he built cities in the hill country of Judah and forts and towers on the wooded hills. He fought with the king of the Ammonites and prevailed against them. And the Ammonites gave him that year 100 talents of silver and 10,000 cores of wheat and 10,000 of barley. The Ammonites paid him the same amount in the second and the third years. So Jotham became mighty because he ordered his ways before the Lord his God. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all his wars and his ways, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. And Jotham slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Ahaz his son reigned in his place. Chapter 28. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. And he did not do what was right in the eyes of the Lord, as his father David had done, but he walked in the ways of the kings of Israel. He even made metal images for the Baals, and he made offerings in the valley of the son of Hinnom, and burned his sons as an offering, according to the abominations of the nations, whom the Lord drove out before the people of Israel. And he sacrificed and made offerings on the high places, and on the hills, and under every green tree. Therefore the Lord his God gave him into the hand of the king of Syria, who defeated him and took captive a great number of his people and brought them to Damascus. He was also given into the hand of the king of Israel, who struck him with great force. For Pekah the son of Remaliah killed 120,000 from Judah in one day, all of them men of valor, because they had forsaken the Lord, the God of their fathers. And ZECHARIAH, a mighty man of Ephraim, killed Maaseiah the king's son, and Azrikam, the commander of the palace, and Elkanah, the next in authority to the king. The men of Israel took captive 200,000 of their relatives, women, sons, and daughters. They also took much spoil from them and brought the spoil to Samaria. But a prophet of the Lord was there, whose name was Oded, and he went out to meet the army that came to Samaria, and said to them, Behold, because the Lord, the God of your fathers, was angry with Judah, he gave them into your hand, but you have killed them in a rage that has reached up to heaven. And now you intend to subjugate the people of Judah and Jerusalem, male and female, as your slaves. Have you not sins of your own against the Lord your God? Now hear me, and send back the captives from your relatives whom you have taken, for the fierce wrath of the Lord is upon you. Certain chiefs also of the men of Ephraim, Azariah the son of Johanan, Berechiah the son of Meshillemoth, Jehizkiah the son of Shallum, and Amasa the son of Hadlai, stood up against those who were coming from the war, and said to them, You shall not bring the captives in here, for you propose to bring upon us guilt against the Lord in addition to our present sins and guilt. For our guilt is already great, and there is fierce wrath against Israel. So the armed men left the captives and the spoil before the princes and all the assembly. And the men who have been mentioned by name rose and took the captives, and with the spoil they clothed all who were naked among them. They clothed them, gave them sandals, provided them with food and drink, and anointed them. And carrying all the feeble among them on donkeys, they brought them to their kinsfolk at Jericho, the city of palm trees. Then they returned to Samaria. At that time King Ahaz sent to the king of Assyria for help, for the Edomites had again invaded and defeated Judah and carried away captives. And the Philistines had made raids on the cities in the Shephelah and the Negeb of Judah, and had taken Beth-Shemesh, Aijalon, Gederoth, Soko with its villages, Timnah with its villages, and Gimzo with its villages. And they settled there. For the Lord humbled Judah because of Ahaz king of Israel, for he had made Judah act sinfully, and had been very unfaithful to the Lord. So Tiglath-Pileser king of Assyria came against him and afflicted him instead of strengthening him. For Ahaz took a portion from the house of the Lord and the house of the king and of the princes, and gave tribute to the king of Assyria, but it did not help him. In the time of his distress he became yet more faithless to the Lord, this same King Ahaz. For he sacrificed to the gods of Damascus that had defeated him, and said, Because the gods of the kings of Syria helped them, I will sacrifice to them that they may help me. But they were the ruin of him and of all Israel. And Ahaz gathered together the vessels of the house of God, and cut in pieces the vessels of the house of God. And he shut up the doors of the house of the Lord, and he made himself altars in every corner of Jerusalem. In every city of Judah he made high places to make offerings to other gods, provoking to anger the Lord, the God of his fathers. Now the rest of his acts and all his ways, from first to last, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. And Ahaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city, in Jerusalem, for they did not bring him into the tombs of the kings of Israel. And Hezekiah his son reigned in his place. Chapter 14. Then I looked, and behold, on Mount Zion stood the Lamb, and with him 144,000, who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven like the roar of many waters, and like the sound of loud thunder. The voice I heard was like the sound of harpists playing on their harps, and they were singing a new song before the throne, and before the 4 living creatures, and before the elders. No one could learn that song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. It is these who have not defiled themselves with women, for they are virgins. It is these who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These have been redeemed from mankind as firstfruits for God and the Lamb, and in their mouth no lie was found, for they are blameless. Then I saw another angel flying directly overhead, with an eternal gospel to proclaim to those who dwell on earth, to every nation and tribe and language and people. And he said with a loud voice, Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and the springs of water. Another angel, a second, followed, saying, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, she who made all nations drink the wine of the passion of her sexual immorality. And another angel, a third, followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and its image, and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, he also will drink the wine of God's wrath, poured full strength into the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest, day or night, these worshippers of the beast and its image, and whoever receives the mark of its name. Here is a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, Write this, Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Blessed indeed, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, for their deeds follow them. Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and seated on the cloud one like a son of man, with a golden crown on his head, and a sharp sickle in his hand. And another angel came out of the temple, calling with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, Put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is fully ripe. So he who sat on the cloud swung his sickle across the earth, and the earth was reaped. Then another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, the angel who has authority over the fire, and he called with a loud voice to the one who had the sharp sickle, Put in your sickle and gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, for its grapes are ripe. So the angel swung his sickle across the earth, and gathered the grape harvest of the earth, and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and blood flowed from the winepress, as high as a horse's bridle, for 1,600 stadia. Chapter 10. Ask rain from the Lord in the season of the spring rain, from the Lord who makes the storm clouds, and he will give them showers of rain, to everyone the vegetation in the field. For the household gods utter nonsense, and the diviners see lies. They tell false dreams and give empty consolation. Therefore the people wander like sheep. They are afflicted for lack of a shepherd. My anger is hot against the shepherds, and I will punish the leaders. For the Lord of hosts cares for his flock, the house of Judah, and will make them like his majestic steed in battle. From him shall come the cornerstone, from him the tent peg, from him the battle bow, from him every ruler, all of them together. They shall be like mighty men in battle, trampling the foe in the mud of the streets. They shall fight because the Lord is with them, and they shall put to shame the riders on horses. I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph. I will bring them back because I have compassion on them, and they shall be as though I had not rejected them. For I am the Lord their God, and I will answer them. Then Ephraim shall become like a mighty warrior, and their hearts shall be glad as with wine. Their children shall see it and be glad. Their hearts shall rejoice in the Lord. I will whistle for them and gather them in, for I have redeemed them, and they shall be as many as they were before. Though I scattered them among the nations, yet in far countries they shall remember me, and with their children they shall live and return. I will bring them home from the land of Egypt, and gather them from Assyria, and I will bring them to the land of Gilead and to Lebanon, till there is no room for them. He shall pass through the sea of troubles, and strike down the waves of the sea, and all the depths of the Nile shall be dried up. The pride of Assyria shall be laid low, and the scepter of Egypt shall depart. I will make them strong in the Lord, and they shall walk in his name, declares the Lord. Psalm 140. To the choirmaster, a psalm of David. Deliver me, O Lord, from evil men. Preserve me from violent men, who plan evil things in their heart and stir up wars continually. They make their tongue sharp as a serpent's, and under their lips is the venom of asps. Selah. Guard me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from violent men, who have planned to trip up my feet. The arrogant have hidden a trap for me, and with cords they have spread a net. Beside the way they have set snares for me. Selah. I say to the Lord, you are my God. Give ear to the voice of my pleas for mercy, O Lord. O Lord, my Lord, the strength of my salvation, you have covered my head in the day of battle. Grant not, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. Do not further their evil plot, or they will be exalted. Selah. As for the head of those who surround me, let the mischief of their lips overwhelm them. Let burning coals fall upon them. Let them be cast into fire, into miry pits, no more to rise. Let not the slanderer be established in the land. Let evil hunt down the violent man speedily. I know that the Lord will maintain the cause of the afflicted, and will execute justice for the needy. Surely the righteous shall give thanks to your name. The upright shall dwell in your presence. Psalm 141, a psalm of David. O Lord, I call upon you. Hasten to me. Give ear to my voice when I call to you. Let my prayer be counted as incense before you, and the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice. Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Do not let my heart incline to any evil, to busy myself with wicked deeds in company with men who work iniquity, and let me not eat of their delicacies. Let a righteous man strike me. It is a kindness. Let him rebuke me. It is oil for my head. Let my head not refuse it. Yet my prayer is continually against their evil deeds. When their judges are thrown over the cliff, then they shall hear my words, for they are pleasant. As when one plows and breaks up the earth, so shall our bones be scattered at the mouth of Sheol. But my eyes are toward you, O God, my Lord. In you I seek refuge. Leave me not defenseless. Keep me from the trap that they have laid for me, and from the snares of evildoers. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, while I pass by safely.
The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for Armenian Christmas. Thank you for Armenia. Thank you for opening my eyes to the importance of this historic fact, this historic place. Thank you for my friends here that have endured with me through the years as I have talked about Armenia and the calling on my heart that you've called me to. I commit all of this labor of the last 7 years into your hands. Give it to you. I'll offer to you now to do with as you will. Merry Christmas, Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. I will seek you in the morning, and I will learn to walk in your ways. Step by step you lead me, and I will follow you all of my days. Meekly, thank you for that. Obviously that's a verse, but that tune I haven't heard or thought of in decades. Former youth pastor of mine was also a songwriter. He would write praise songs. So I don't know if that's one that he wrote, but that's a tune that comes to mind in heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome, Meekly. Well. Okay. Just quick update. I do have notes I want to get to. Quick update. Immediately following, I worked last night, the Golden Globes, my job, and they told me, I mean, normally we work the awards ceremonies on their own weekends, and then we still work a 5-day week, so we get overtime. However, with the budget cuts, they made a cut. If you work, everybody had to work last night, and so everybody had to pick which day this week that we had off. And I'm like, Armenian Christmas. I'm going to take Monday, January 6th. Make J6th Armenian Christmas again, right? There's my thank you. Yes, thank you, Meekly. So that one of my campaigns is make J6th Armenian Christmas again, so people understand. Forget about. All right, I get sidetracked. I'm getting sidetracked. So I picked today off. So I am off today. So I scheduled a bunch of stuff today. Immediately following this, I'm going to meet with my mentor. I have a mentor who is 40 plus years success in Hollywood. He created 2 TV shows. He's done movies. He did a movie with Mel Gibson. That I'm bringing up in our meeting today. He's my mentor. He read a script that I wrote. He read this 8 years ago and became my mentor immediately, or maybe 9 years ago. Whenever I meet with him, I do everything he tells me, no matter how hard it is, no matter how he's not candy coating anything. He doesn't give, he doesn't sweet talk or just tell me fluff. Oh, you're great. You can do this. No. He puts it in real terms. It's like, 1 out of 4 of the people that I mentor are successful in Hollywood, right? They all have jobs in Hollywood, blah, 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 blah. Right. So I got questions for him. He's been following along. He's very optimistic about the project. And when I fill him in on a whole bunch of stuff that he doesn't know about yet, I'm interested to see what he has to say today. So that's immediately following this at 9. And then I'm going over to another team member's office later to go through a bunch of my files. And so sometime today, possibly tomorrow, SolomonTehlirian.com. Right now, that points to another website. If you go to SolomonTehlirian.com right now, it points to a website domain, projectjustice.info, which is a bunch of info about Solomon Tehlirian. But I am moving that sometime today or tomorrow to its own server and posting a letter to every Armenian. And that's going to be kind of the beginning of the grassroots groundswell of reaching the Armenian people first. So we're at this pinnacle right here. I've been telling you about this right now, post Armenian Christmas, because at noon today, it will be January 7th in Armenia. So Christmas will be over at noon today. Yes, have fun. Yes. All right. Let me go to my notes. So I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to skip all the Second Chronicles stuff. It's more prophets calling out bad kings and, people of Israel calling out their own bad actions for devastating their brothers in Judah, blah, blah, blah. Skip all that. I'm going to go straight to Revelation 14. Here we go, people. Here's some revelation about Revelation. I've got to get to this, and then see how much time we have left. And one more note after the Revelation notes. I'm going to start with verse 9. Another angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and its image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, he also will drink the wine of God's wrath, poured full strength into the cup, etc. I'm going to focus on the verse 9. People that receive the mark on their forehead and on their hand, right? And so I became a Christian in 1988. There's a book that had just come out called 88 Reasons Why Jesus is Returning in 1988. And that's just an example of a lot of the bad teaching, capitalizing on Christian gullibility and a particular premillennialists' gullibility by reading headlines and thinking today's headlines are somewhere in the Bible, reading today's headlines and thinking that they're in the book of Revelation, and trying to figure out what this means. If you they're going to implant chips in your forehead and in your hand to buy and sell. If you get that, you can't buy and sell if you don't get that. And that was all the way back then. And they're still talking about that now. So there's this idea in Christendom, mostly in Western Christendom, Western evangelicalism, about this mark of the beast, right? And getting it on the forehead and on the hand, thinking it's a literal thing on the forehead and the hand. And it's like, that's not what's being said here. There's no thing that is going to be required by a one world government in order for you to do business. You have to take this mark. That's not what this is saying. That's a modern fiction that's been constructed around an ancient phrase or an ancient this is apocalyptic literature. It's imagery. All right. So I know some of you are like, you're back on your heels saying, but Michael, I'm going to make the point here. This is not talking about an actual mark that people are going to have to get or going to get someday, or a chip or a QR code. Used to be a barcode. Now that's not what this is about. This is symbolic, and I'll prove it from this same chapter. I will prove it from this same chapter of Revelation that this is not an actual thing, a physical thing that's coming in the future. That, oh no, if you get that mark, then it doesn't matter if you love Jesus, you're going to hell, right? That's the crazy thing, right? You get this mark of the beast. It doesn't matter if you got it, if you've already accepted Jesus. If you get the mark, you're going to hell, right? That's the nonsense that's spread in evangelicalism. Go to verse 1. Then I looked, and behold, on Mount Zion stood the Lamb, and with him 144,000, who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. This is like the godly mark, right? They have the mark, the name of the Lamb written on their foreheads. Wait, okay, let me change my mind. It's not, there's two marks. If you get the mark of the beast, you're going to hell. If you get the mark of the Lamb, then you're going to heaven. And it's an actual physical mark and thing that's implanted under the skin. And so now you have to get the mark of the Lamb in order not to go to hell, because otherwise you get the mark of, right? That's the nonsense that we as Christians tend to get into when we can't think clearly about the text. You already have the mark of the Lamb on your forehead, people. If you love Jesus, right? It's not a physical mark. It's symbolic. It means that you belong to him. Those who pledge their allegiance, that's all it means. Those who are beholden to, who give themselves over to the Lord or to their own paganness, right? That's all it's referring to. I don't, that's, you got to read the Bible in context. And there, I want to actually finish this Revelation portion in verse 13. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, write this: blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on, who have the mark of the Lamb on their foreheads, right? Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Blessed indeed, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, for their deeds follow them. I'm going to die someday. We're going to die. And I have been laboring for the Lord. And it is labor. And it's a joy. It's a joy to labor for the Lord. It's like the only thing worth doing. But then death is like, okay, I labored, and now the labor is done, and now I rest in his presence, and I get to participate and watch the rest of what's unfolding, right? Those who have gone before us are watching us and enjoying the unfolding of God's plan. We're here on this earth, and we'll look around at all the crazy things, and we get our eyes fixed on the bad things happening in the world. We forget that God's doing it, that God is actually orchestrating it. He's actually allowing things to happen because they fit into the plan that he has, right? He's not surprised. He's not concerned. He's not worried. We are, when we take our eyes off of him. And so that's a part of the labor, this portion, this what we're doing now is just a tiny fraction of what our role is in eternity. When we're done laboring here, this side of our mortal lives, then we get to be with him, disembodied temporarily. Right? Death is temporary. We'll be disembodied temporarily and then return to our bodies forever. So we are just at the very beginning. No matter how old you are, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, you're just a baby. You're just a baby. You have eternity ahead. All right. Final note. Psalm 141. Verse 5. I'm just going to read this. Let a righteous man strike me. It is a kindness. Let him rebuke me. It is oil for my head. Let my head not refuse it. I'm about to go talk to my mentor, and he's a righteous man. And if he hears me say something that I'm doing wrong, he's going to strike me, right? Verbally. It is a kindness. He wants the best for me, right? When a righteous man strikes you, you better pay attention. And I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for the team around me. And it's more than just striking. It's listening to the objections or the concerns or the questions, the insights that your team has. Don't be too big to listen to everything your team is saying. And that's, I could give you examples, but time is up. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Merry Christmas. Merry Armenian Christmas.